by the institution of FISBA. Institution of FISBA is the one which is responsible for applying that filter continuously within the market. And that is what we'll be looking at first, and then we look at Islamic finance industry and see if there is any kind of similarity, if there is any kind of pattern we follow. So what we'll do is we'll only look at the effects. We won't look at the causes. Because the causes obviously are different. So there was a different time, there was a different age, and we live in a different time and different age. So different things are causing it. We will essentially focus on the effects and see if there is any kind of pattern in terms of the effects. So we'll start with institution of FISBA. The institution of FISBA started very early in the early days of Islam. The first official was named as Amir al-Sub, which was mainly market inspector. Now, the post of market inspector is essentially does not have any kind of religious connotation to it. It was administrative post, maybe a council post, and then it developed. And it developed into Muhtasib. Now, when we see Muhtasib mentioned within the history, that signifies a transformation. And emergence of Muhtasib is a Islamization of the post. So we had this administrative post within the market to administer the affairs of the market, and then we see that it further develops into Islamic version, and that Islamic version is Muhtasib. Now, similar trends exist in Indonesia as well, where Umayyads were in power. We had the market inspector, which was predominantly a secular post, and then after it developed further into an Islamicized post, which was the market officer. Now, one of the important things we noticed, or within Indonesia, is just point out in the red color over there. It says that Indonesian Muslims were well aware of what FISBA was, the administrative connotation and the philosophical one. So they were very aware of what FISBA is there to do, what FISBA officials should be doing, what their job is, and what the desired outcome should be. However, if we look at what the historical context tells us, I'll just have a quick read through there, that philosophical foundation and the practical destination of FISBA, which extend to all human activities, never practically translated into institution of FISBA. And institution of FISBA was mainly limited as an institution of administration and police. So what we saw in Indonesia was that this institution, which was a Islamicized version of it, which had a lot of potential within it, never really fulfilled its potential. Now we look at why was that the case? Why did institution of FISBA why didn't it fulfill what it was created for? And that's where we go into the why a bit. Now, FISBA was perceived from different viewpoints, but theologians, jurists, and philosophers, they had a different approach to it. The political theorists approached FISBA from entirely different point of view. We see there were theories written by Ibn Taymiyyah, Al-Ghazali, Al-Mawardi, and Ibn Khaldun. They all covered the institution of FISBA because it was such an essential part of the state infrastructure. In 13th century manual, we still got that in the original form, and we still got the names of Muhtasib which were using it and their practices as well. Now, when we look at the practices, the FISBA manuals, which are essentially the laws and the regulations created by the institution of FISBA, are not really implemented as it is. They vary in the practice. So different Muhtasib used that manual but implemented it in a different way. So there was a gap between what the manual was saying and what was being done within the market. If you look at the Geniza papers, we have got this quote from there. Muhtasib, the official, who according to textbook should be expected more than anyone else to represent the government to the populace, is all but absent from the Geniza paper. There's not even a single mention of it. So we've got this institution, we know it's an Islamicized version of it. Which we should be doing its duty of commanding good and forbidding evil. It's got tremendous authority, but it's not really doing anything. The manuals are saying something else. In practice, something else is something entirely different is happening. So what the conclusion essentially is, if you look at the history, that there is a big gap. There has always been a big gap between the theory and the practice. The practice has never really replicated the theory. The theory is always saying something else, and the practice has always been different. I'm not saying it's essentially a bad thing or essentially a good thing, but that's what's been happening throughout the ages. Now we'll move on to the second part. which essentially signifies that evolution, how the post evolved from a non-Islamic version to the Islamic version. And when that post evolved, then it moved up in the rank as well. It was the fifth in judiciary within the Fatimids' time. It was just ranked below head of public treasury. So it became a really, really big post within the state infrastructure. However, again, the mention or the practice of the institution of Hizbah is largely missing. We've got this quote over there that integrity of official is essential for preservation of public order. What that means is that people wouldn't listen to the official if it wasn't highly ranked. So it was essential for the state to put them in the highly ranked positions. That's why they put them fifth from the judiciary. Another thing to note over here at this point is that the whole infrastructure or whole framework of Hizbah was conducted based on Islamic fiqh. So that was the legal theory. Most of the regulations, they come from Qiyas, Ijtihad, and Istisna, rather than coming from the top sources of Islamic law. The appointment, which meant that the institution of Hizbah had to appoint muftis, had to appoint scholars which were expert within the market law, which meant that at that point there weren't a lot of scholars who were expert in the market law. So there was a scarcity. We had few scholars and we needed more. So we can regulate all of the Islamic empire at that time. So only 2 minutes left. So which meant that we had this, which I'm calling dynamics of post-Mu'tasim, that we had this problem that we had few professionals and more posts. Now, I'll quickly kind of cover the third one. The third one essentially says is that because there were few experts and more posts, they increased the jurisdiction of the post. So much so that one scholar was at one time looking after 3 major cities, which meant 3 major markets, which is literally impossible for a scholar at that time without the help of any kind of technological aids to go and regulate the market or see the market affairs. Which meant that there was lack of jurisdictions. The scholar has got literally 3 markets to look at. It's not really, the boundaries are not set, like what is the minimum market for a scholar. So essentially these are the 3 things which comes up within the institution of Hizbah. But now if we go into the modern time and if we look at Islamic finance industry, we look at the similar things. If you look at the scholars, there are top 20 scholars who are sitting in about 621 boards. 35% of the entire universe is almost 154 board positions. So we again, Islamic finance is going in a similar trend to the institution of Hizbah. We have got scholars, we need scholars who are who know the Islamic finance, who know the Islamic law and the market and economics as well. And we don't have a lot of them. And this is just a social network analysis of those scholars. And if you see, there are 3 major consideration points that all of the institutions are pretty much attached to those 3 scholars. And they are pretty much ruling the market. And these are a quick quote from all the academics who have pointed this out, that is a big problem within the Islamic finance industry. It's moving toward the monopolization of by the scholars, which I'm not saying the scholars are bad, it's just we need more of that. But the phenomenon is there, and the phenomenon has been there all along whenever we try to regulate the market. In the old times, we had different kind of dynamics which regulated or which influenced the Sharia governance. So on the left, when the institution of Hizbah was trying to regulate the market, it was the political forces which were intervening within the works of institution of Hizbah. If you look at today's time, that political power which was coming from the political forces has changed to market forces. Now we've got these market forces which are influencing, which are directing the Sharia governance. Now, essentially, again, it's not that it's a bad thing, but it's happening. It's just causing the same 3 problems we experienced within the institution of Hizbah. Which is, like, for us, either we can now address those problems and have a different methodology to it, or we can continue doing what we are doing and we'll have done with the same result in about a few hundred years' time, and somebody will look at Islamic finance industry and will point out the similar things that we are pointing out from Hizbah. So, what I'm essentially recommending is that we should have a nominalist approach towards the development of methodology of Sharia governance, in contrary to approaching it as a mode of reasoning governed by religious discourse based on textual analysis. Because the nature of Islamic finance industry is it needs to cater for market forces as well. And market forces are very strong forces. Not just within the Islamic finance, within the conventional finance and conventional economic, we've been trying to tame them for centuries. And it is literally impossible for us to tame them because they are the leading forces within the market. So we need to have an approach within the Sharia governance which is slightly independent from the current approach of textual analysis. We need to go more and look into different approaches, and there are different approaches, axiomatic approach and philosophical approach, which are over there. There are ethical approaches as well, which are a lot of scholars have pointed out. So we need to rethink the paradigm of Sharia governance. That's literally my conclusion. So if you've got any questions, please agree.
Thanks a lot, please. If anybody has any questions, yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is actually about the saturated network you have shown, the social network of all the scholars. So, what do you think is the main reason? Is it by Islamic financial institution that due to the I would say rockstar type rockstar type what should be the right word? Rockstar type involvement of these scholars, like their acceptability all over the world. Due to that reason, the Islamic financial institutions are more willing to take the same scholars, or is it scholar push that is making them more prominent in the Islamic finance network? What is the main thing? Like, are these the issue due to the scholars or due to the Islamic financial
I think
institutions?
there are a couple of issues over there. One is the simple issue of supply and demand, really. Financial institution, they demand scholars which are aware of the market forces and what needs to be done. They don't really want a conventional scholar or a fundamentalist scholar who will stick to certain rules and won't really cater for market forces. Secondly, the flow of scholars. The scholars are coming from obviously Methodist background, and they need to have that Sharia background to give Sharia rulings and legal opinions. Now, the education system is quite old. The curriculum is quite old. It is not capable of producing the Sharia scholars we need within the banks. So the Sharia scholar, when the scholar comes out of the madrasa, goes through a lot of training, especially there's quite a lot of courses within Malaysia as well, to train them. So I think there are quite a lot of issues like that.
Do you think that ISBA has private role of critical? ISBA, does the ISBA institution have a political role, or it has the role of market? In Afghanistan, we have seen that Taliban has established a Hizba institution which was primarily political. Market role was the secondary one. What's your opinion?
I think in terms of what I've highlighted is that whenever we are trying to regulate either the society or the market using Sharia as a methodology, we have got this massive problem that we do not have any kind of jurisdictions. We do not have, okay, we will regulate at that point. One thing I would like to point out is that when we look at the Islamic discourse and Islamic thought, especially within the primary sources, we find this specific understanding of privacy and what your privacy is, and how you have got this sanctuary, and how you can do whatever you like within your house. Now that kind of concept didn't really develop within the Islamic Empire because it wasn't in the favor of the political powers at that time. But now, where we are, with these underdeveloped concepts and overdeveloped legal theory, then legal theory just penetrates every walk of life, which shouldn't be done, because there should be a clear-cut jurisdiction of where legal theory can actually go and regulate and where it cannot regulate. In the absence of that jurisdiction, pretty much if you establish Hizbah, it's going to go and regulate each and every walk of life, which is not really correct.
Okay, applause for the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Next, Miss Umar. Okay, Umar. President. Umaratu, Dr. Umar.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Umar, and I am a lawyer by profession. I did PhD from Durham University.
Lawyer.
Yeah. I topic is a critical analysis of the UK regulatory strategy towards group issuance. Next slide. And agenda is, I'll start with introduction, then what group is, then Sharia board, regulation, legislation, and conclusion. Well, UK is a leader in tapping Muslim investors by offering Islamic financial services and by enforcing laws facilitating Muslim investors. There are about, next slide please. There are about 2 million Muslims living in the UK. Germany has 4.5 million and France has 3.5 million Muslims. But UK government has taken the lead by tapping the Muslim investors by offering Islamic financial services. So UK has strengthened